everybody, welcome back to Woodland Bakery. You should have started on these flowers.
Okay, start over.
Isn't that amazing? Look how beautiful. Jason brought me roses because he's my boyfriend. You know how many people say,
I know.
Jason must be your boyfriend? No, he's really not. Do you guys realize that I don't even see Jason? All I see is this camera and I'm making love to all of you. Like, I love making videos. I'm in love with all of you. I am in love with showing you how to make a wedding cake, guys. Today at Woodland Bakery, we're going to do a 3-tiered, fresh, rose-decorated wedding cake. And we're going to get started right away because this may take an hour. So get comfortable, get some popcorn, and we're going to get started. I am using my best moist chocolate cake recipe, my wonderful Swiss buttercream for the icing, and I'm going to use my mocha buttercream for the filling. So yeah, I'm just going to really get started and kind of show you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I get so many emails on how to build wedding cakes, how to stack them, is this recipe appropriate for this and that, and quite honestly, guys, any recipe is fine to make a wedding cake as long as you're building it the right way, and I'm going to show you how to do that here today. I'm doing a 10-inch on the bottom, an 8-inch for the middle tier, and a 5-inch for my top tier. Now, as you see, I'm making sort of like a buttercream dam to hold in the filling, because you don't want any of that filling, no matter what it is, to be squeezing out the sides of your cake. So you sort of do that little buttercream ring. I've already trimmed up my cake layers so that they're all equal in size. I like to have my cake layers equal to the size, equal to the amount of the filling. So as you see, each layer is pretty much the same amount as the filling that I put in. It makes for just real nice, when you go to cut it, it just makes for a real nice cross section of the cake. It's very neat. It's all very even and uniform. So a lot of people might say, well, shouldn't it be a vanilla cake or a white cake for a wedding? Well, nowadays it could be anything you want it to be. I've done pretty much everything. My cousin had a carrot cake for her wedding, and a lot of people said, well, geez, not very many people like carrot cake, and you got to remember, at a wedding you're serving 100, 200 people. She said, I don't care, I like carrot cake, and they're all going to eat carrot cake.
You know what, though? It's funny because there are people that don't eat the cake, no matter what it is.
Well, yeah, because they've never had a Woodland Bakery cake, that's why.
Or they just don't stay long enough, they leave,
yeah,
you know.
I guess so. Alright, so there you have the first filled tier. Now this is going to be a little bit of a buttercream crumb coat that we're going to put on here. And a crumb coat is exactly what it sounds like. It is the coating of buttercream that kind of catches up all those crumbs, and you get it. Some people call it dirty icing. I just never really did call it that, but it's essentially the same thing. It's okay if the icing layer gets a little bit dirty with those crumbs in it, because you're going to go ahead and put a nicer layer over top of that. And it's okay that the cake is showing through here. In the KitchenAid mixer, as you see and hear, I have what is going to be my finishing icing spinning in the bowl. It's been going for about 10 minutes already. It's the same Swiss buttercream icing that I'm using on the crumb coat, but whenever I'm making a wedding cake, I like to get it going in the KitchenAid and let it spin on low speed for about 15 minutes. You can maybe even see, in comparison to the original in the bowl here, the difference in color. I don't know if they can see that on the camera.
One's white, one's yellowish.
Exactly. The original recipe, when you first make my Swiss buttercream recipe, it is a little bit yellowish. I don't know how many emails I get that ask me, why is your buttercream so white and mine is so yellow? Well, there's a trick right there. That's why. The incorporation of air at such a slow speed is going to whiten that up. So what I'm doing over here now, as you see, I built my tier on a cardboard circle. Now I have to trim that cardboard. I don't necessarily want to use the cardboard as a guide as much as I want to use my cake as a guide. So I'm going to just trim up that little bit of excess. Alright? That's going to go into the refrigerator to kind of, get nice and cold, because when we do go to stack these cakes, we want to make sure that all the tiers are full. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here with this now second tier.
Tell you what, this cake looks like it'll be good to, when they smack them each other in the face.
Yeah.
All the buttercream and
they smack each other in the face.
Just grab it and smack them in the face. So when you guys make this, make sure you protect it.
The chocolatier the better.
All right.
For the face smacking ceremony. What did you and Jess have?
I don't remember. I was too drunk.
Oh my god! You don't remember what you picked for your wedding cake?
No.
You really don't?
No, I just ate it.
Oh man.
Listen. That's the best way to get through a wedding. Is just say yes, 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 yes. Right? There's no fighting.
Alright.
I say no at the end when they give me the bill.
So guys, I'm not giving you any instruction. I'm just showing you again what I did the first time. Crumb coat is not very pretty, but it is very helpful and it is essential in building a perfect wedding cake. Or any cake for that matter. A lot of people, you could get in the habit of doing this for all your cakes, no matter what the occasion. I just don't anymore because, I tend to, after all these years, I tend to not get very many crumbs in my first coating, so I don't take the time to do 2 coats. Yeah, when's the date?
September 21st.
Oh, it's this Saturday.
Yeah. I forgot.
Oh, well, this will be your anniversary cake. It's perfect.
Okay, I'll take it.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Well, we already ate the Thanksgiving cake.
You did not. Are you serious?
I had people over and we just...
You were supposed to put it in the freezer.
I did, but I took it out and ate it.
All these recipes can be found on woodlandbakeryblog.com. So be sure to get there to get everything prepped up before you start to build your fabulous wedding cake. I'm trying to think of all the other questions that I get. Most people ask if the cakes that I have on the blog are sufficient to hold up as a wedding cake, and as I said, again, any cake really is fine to make into a wedding cake as long as you do build it properly. And what I mean by that is doing exactly what I'm showing you here with the crumb coats. Now you'll notice this one has a lot of extra crumbs on it compared to the other 2 that I did. If you did or did not notice that, I don't know. That's because I actually cut this one down from a 7-inch to a 5-inch. So whenever you do trim the sides of a wedding cake, naturally you're going to create a lot more crumbs than if you just used the proper size pan to bake it in. So as you see, this one's fighting me a little bit.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you determine, because you're stacking different sizes on top of each other.
Yeah.
How do you determine how many people the cake feeds?
Yeah. Well, there is a chart that you go by, and I could provide that on the blog. Alright, so I have crumb coated all 3 tiers, and now we can go ahead and start the final icing. Another question I get all the time is my cake recipes and my buttercream recipes sufficient to hold up under fondant. Yes, they are. Okay, so this was in the fridge for just a little while. Probably not as long as I would have liked it to be, but it'll work.
That looks good. I just want to eat that. We'll just sit there.
A lot of people say that about this Swiss buttercream recipe. They just want to sit down with it, with a spoon.
Yeah, and just
go to town.
Yeah, either eat it or play with it or
put it all over the dog.
Yeah, I don't know. Just looks fun, you know.
Put it all over the new baby and let the dog lick it off the baby.
we don't let the dogs go near him.
Oh, you don't?
Well, you just don't know, you know.
Yeah, right.
He's a week old.
It's too soon.
Right.
All right, so basically I'm doing my final icing. I always do start heavy, as you see, and I push the excess off down to the sides. I find it's quicker that way. It's easier, in my opinion, to take off the excess than to keep putting more and more on.
All right, because you keep working instead of stopping and putting more on.
I said more on. And then you did.
And then more, wow, whatever.
All right. Now, if you are a Woody Insider, you may have received my fabulous Woody Insider tip on how to get your cake sides smooth as silk. And I'm going to show you how I do that for all my wedding cakes, because as you see, the buttercream does have some air bubbles in it, and it doesn't ice as smooth as you would want it to be. And Woody Insider, you can find that club, that sign-up club on woodlandbakeryblog.com. Yes. Last I heard was only like 3,000, so it's been exploding. It is the club to be in.
It is.
It's really great tips, guys. I mean, all right, so I do have my blowtorch here. You do not need the blowtorch to achieve this. I also have some hot water here, which is really essentially the same thing. You just want to get your knife a little bit hot. Not so hot that it's going to melt the buttercream to dripping, but then you're going to go over it again. And you see how smooth it made it?
Yes.
So if you don't have the blowtorch, hot water, but make sure you take off any excess water with a dry rag like I am doing here. Okay, so now that we have all of our tiers with our finished icing, we're ready to start building it and stacking it. So what you'll need to do, guys, is get some parchment circles to the same size of your tiers. This one is the 5-inch, and then I'm going to need another one that is like an 8-inch. So you could just take your 8-inch cake pan and trace around it, but I pretty much have a good eye for what an 8-inch circle looks like at this point.
You call those circles?
Yeah. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's basically just what's going to go in between when you stack the layers, so that when whoever is catering your wedding, when they go to take off one tier from the other, when they take it back in the kitchen to start the cutting, if you do not put this parchment circle on in between, it'll probably rip off the whole layer of buttercream that's on this tier. So the parchment circle really does act as a nice buffer to keep the tiers in good shape, even all the way through to the cutting. Okay, so what we do first, I guess I should show you more like this. See, I have to sometimes remember that I am teaching you guys, and I have to show you some of the finer details of this. So here's my 8-inch, approximately 8-inch circle. And you could also use your cake pan to give you a little bit of a judge here, but I don't have one handy, so I'm just showing you that that was my 8-inch, basically how big the tier is that's going on next. And the reason why I did that was because you want to have a good judgment now of where to place your dowel rods. And you don't want to go too far out, and you don't want to be too far in. So you give yourself a good outline of the next tier that's going on top, and you know where to space them. I take a little marker. Oh my god, I can't believe she put red marker on the cake. Everybody's gonna die. so that I can judge. Now see where my red marker was over here? Now I can judge. I just use a real sharp knife and I can cut my dowel. This dowel wood is pretty soft, where you could just kind of break it like that. Okay, so there's my first one. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. And if I don't use the marker, I can see the line where the buttercream was here, as for my cut. So the bigger your cake bottom, like, you know, there's some cakes, you guys have seen them, gigantic, absolutely huge, 12-tier cakes that go from the table to the ceiling. The bigger the base cake, the more dowels, the more support you're going to need. If you guys don't have these wooden dowels, I mean, they're pretty accessible. I use the Wilton brand. You could actually just pick up some from Home Depot, to be honest with you, and cut the size that you need. But if you can't get your hands on the wooden dowels, then you can go ahead and use drinking straws. I've used that in a pinch when I didn't have any dowel rods on hand. Plastic drinking straws will work. Okay, so there you have that. And now I'm going to put my parchment here. Another little thin layer of buttercream here, because that's going to glue the next tier on. And here's my second tier. Basically, I'm going to put that right on top. Now I went 10-inch, 8-inch, 5-inch. You typically want to go 2 to 3 inches between each tier. You know, and again, guys, it depends on what look you're going for. Some people like them to be less size, and it's a more sleek look. You could do a 12-inch on the bottom and then go 4 inches and do then an 8-inch and then another 4-inch on top. So really it depends on what look you're going for.
It's very time consuming.
Yes, it is, and why wedding cakes are charged the way that they are. They have to be built a certain way, and they have to hold up for probably 5 hours during the wedding reception, right? It is the centerpiece at the wedding.
So you're going to teach us how to cut this?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Because I really don't have a wedding, guys. I did this all for you, to show you how I build a wedding cake. So here's the last tier. I think this is a good size. This, believe it or not, listen, this is going to probably serve close to 60 people. I said 70 before, maybe 60. You wouldn't count the top tier. Unless you were counting it, you're going to get another probably 10 or 12 slices just out of that little one on top. So that is how we build Stack the Cake. The one is the number 3. It's found in your Woodland Bakery Essential, your original cake kit. And also the number 23, which is the shell tip design, also found in that same kit with the best pastry bags around. Those are the only 2 tips that I need to do this wedding cake. So really, everything you need to build a wedding cake is in that cake kit. I'm going to start with the number 3 to do my Swiss dot. Now, people ask me, what is your favorite thing to do in the bakery? And I have to say, it is building wedding cakes, because it's the only opportunity I get to sit down. Because I do have to sit down here to be able to make this design. So, because I have to do it in front of me, I don't know if you want to get behind me or how that works, but basically I'm going to start here. And this is called Swiss dot. It's 3 dots down, middle, middle. And then you start it again. Okay guys, so there you have it. The finished Swiss dot on all 3 tiers. And what I'm going to do next is switch out my number 3 tip to my number 23 tip so that I can do the borders, the top and bottom border. And then we're going to go ahead and put the fresh flowers on, and we are almost home.
Good, my hand is tired.
Really? You don't like doing lengthy videos, do you?
Well, no, not that I don't like it. It's just
Well, I mean, it's hard on the body.
it's hard on my the palm of my hand.
Would you get a tripod?
I have about 10 of them.
Really? We should
Yeah.
use them. Well, then you can't get
Then I can't get in there.
yeah, that masterful camera
Right,
effects.
exactly.
All right,
I mean, someone's
so
gonna probably pick me up from Hollywood at some point.
That's true.
For doing all this.
Cinematography is outstanding.
Right. For sitting here and
And the award for best cinematography goes to Jason Caruso.
wait till Baking with Jason comes.
Yeah.
You watch what mine looks like.
Baking with Jason, the wedding series. How to make a wedding cake with Jason.
It should be how not to make a wedding cake. It's funny, this thing is really coming together. Like at first I was like, no, it's just like, you know, kind of one color, but I really like it.
Well, wait till we put the flowers on. That's really going to make it pop. Typically, you will match the flowers on the cake to the flowers in the bride's bouquet.
Right. Mine was like a purple.
Okay. I think I did see a picture of yours, yes.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm just going to get creative here.
You warned me this was going to be an hour long,
I told you.
and you're almost like right on the dot.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't take 10 minutes to make a wedding cake.
Or $10.
That's right. A lot of times the florist is who takes on the decorating of the fresh flowers on the cake, which is often a bummer for me at the bakery because...
You want to sit down?
No, I want to see it. I actually want to see it.
Are these roses?
They are. What I like to do is to take off some of the petals here, and you could make the rose a little bit smaller. But also, you can adorn the bottom and the table with just the petals. A lot of times you'll see rose petals scattered around the whole table.
You're so creative.
Yeah.
You agree?
I do. Well, but I didn't make it up. I mean, I've just, you know, I've seen it done.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I am. There you have it, guys. That's the idea of how to make a wedding cake, how to build a wedding cake, how to decorate a wedding cake with fresh roses. What do you think? So here you have it, guys. Check us out on the next video where I show you how to cut a wedding cake. Get all your recipes on woodlandbakeryblog.com. Be sure to get to the blog, sign up to become a Woody Insider, and get on Facebook.